Just yesterday, a guy in a lovely black, not too old S-Class pulls up beside me in traffic and says, "Sorry, do you mind me asking you, what is that?" I said, "It's a Cupra." "Okay, right." I don't think he knew what I meant. In case you don't, it's the sport derivative of Seat. So it's actually a Leon, it's called a Cupra Leon, and it looks like a Seat Leon. Except it's got fancier paint, bigger alloy wheels, still got the same nose and headlights over it, maybe an extra groove or two over the bonnet, slightly darkened grey mirror housing. And if the amount of people that do a double take as this car goes by, or just come up to me in traffic and ask about it, is anything to go by, it's a sign that people like the look of this car, and maybe the paint, and maybe the alloys, and just the whole package, which is obviously a sports derivative of Seat, and you get an extra big spoiler to cement that idea, and you get gold badging on the front and on the back of the car, and some fake exhausts, which I'll introduce you to right now. So said fake exhaust down here with bits of coppery bronze. You got a Cupra badge around here, and that big nice long red strip that lights up at night time. The boot is thereabouts 380 litres. There's no storage for cables down here, so you have two big giant bags for your Type 2 and your granny cables in here, and you kind of have nowhere to put them. Which is a little bit messy, because you do need your Type 2 on you at all times, unless you're doing really short journeys, and I'll cover the range with you of what a journey is in a second. But a kind of standard boot for this style of car, which doesn't have an electric tailgate also. Same advantage that the Seat Leon has is in the Cupra Leon, extra rear legroom. So it's better than the Golf, better than the Focus, better than a lot of kind of cars of this class. I'd nearly call it Skoda-like, in fact. This model has two USB-Cs and your own individual climate control back here, and an armrest. Wow. And you can access the boot, so that's kind of cool actually. You can hide things in here, grab things if you're on the move, and if someone's saying, "Oh, I forgot this," you can actually reach for it. Now, these high wingback seats do kind of encroach back into your visibility as a rear passenger. If you don't like feeling claustrophobic, maybe you need to ask, can you go shotgun? Say it, I hate to do this to you, but your infotainment needs a serious software upgrade. It's so slow on boot. It can affect your rear view camera coming on. It can affect trying to just select an audio source, and I'm not overdoing it when I say it can be up to a minute before it's actually settled down. That's a big drawback, and I've noticed in a lot of Seat/Cupras. So software engineer people, come on, get cracking. Otherwise, everything's good. Like, there's nice touches as you get in the Cupra brand, bits of the copper throughout the cabin, two USB-Cs, place for your phone. There's no wireless charging in this though. The seats are comfortable, and those kind of little peepholes in the back, and the Cupra embossed on the headrest is nice. And then you can mess around with your dials up front here also, because you can have your nav on display in the centre, in the driver's binnacle if you like, and you can flick around with the different speedos, and you can kind of tailor it all to yourself. You can also set up home charging, so you can delay the charge and you can have it ready to go and keep you warm in the morning time. This will give you an idea now of how long, home screen unavailable, and blah blah blah. Another thing that I don't like about this is these red and blue things. You can double tap them to put on your heated seats. If you don't know that, that's a nice shortcut. But at night time, there's no light on this, so you're fumbling around going, is that the volume? How do I make it colder? How do I get to the heated seat option? Like, your nice big auto button is here for your climate at all times, which is nice, but it's just very, very hard to see this in the dead of night. Just a little light, even on the blue and the red and the white, just to guide you, would be very, very helpful. Paddles on the back of this steering wheel, so you can manually shift them, of course. It's not for regen, that's automatic in the background. And yeah, your charging is about 40 kilometers on a charge. It means you will genuinely do a zero emission journey around town, and maybe if I'm certainly 10 kilometers to work, and that will use give or take 25% of battery, and then you'll get the same home, and the odd trip to wherever. You'll definitely need to charge it every day if you want to do it in zero emissions, and even if you do have the combined hybrid power, you need it charged. Otherwise, it reverts to a 1.4 150 brake horsepower engine. But I do like the interior. That's a bit annoying, the little problems there. As I said, once it settles down, it's fine. You have to have a full charge in the car. If you don't have any range, it's 150, which is still okay. In electric mode, you just put the boot down and it silently just comes into life. Now, this car is very, very hard, and particularly on the tyres it's on, you'll feel every single bump. Also, dynamic chassis control is on this car, so you can put it into super mode, and then it really does get very, very heavy indeed. You can put the dynamic chassis control into Cupra mode, and then the ride does get very, very harsh, particularly on these larger upgraded alloys with kind of Goodyear rubber bands for rubber, which after 10,000 kilometers are already struggling for grip in the wet, pulling away from junctions, particularly if you have both electric charge and petrol in the car. There's a lot of torque going through those front wheels, and maybe it's just because the car has been driven harshly because it's a press car, but 10,000 kilometers does seem light for a pair of expensive Goodyears. The weight of the batteries in the car, I can't say it makes any negative impact in it. It's still got really, really sharp steering. It handles very, very well. If you do charge the car, you're going to see about 2 litres per 100 kilometers. That's if you charge it every single day. And you'll be surprised a lot of your journeys will actually be in zero emissions mode. It's actually very relaxing as well to cruise around in that hybrid mode, which you can charge on the go. I drove across the M50 this afternoon, and from the airport to the Rathfarnham exit, I put about 10 kilometers of range into the car using the petrol engine. And I suppose the motorway is a good place to do it because you're driving at higher speeds anyway, you're going to be using more fuel, but bear in mind it does burn more petrol when you drive like that, so there's no real getting out of it. But if you were going to somewhere that needed you to be in zero emissions, at least you can charge on the way. It's so nippy as well when you have some range in it. You just zip in and out of lanes and you just change direction. It's like perfect for city driving, and then when you want that extra bit of power, it's there. But equally, do you know what? 150 brake horsepower is okay when you're out of range, and it's still adequate. It doesn't feel particularly sluggish, and you still have that dynamic of how the car is set up and that slightly sportier ride quality as well. So it still feels like a bit of a lukewarm hatch if you're all out of energy. There's also a good bit of tire noise off those tires. Again, they're so slim and hard. I've gone over a few potholes this week and I'm like, ugh, that proper clunk through the cabin of the car. You will get that if you have these wheels upgraded. And with the hybrid, the extra weight, everything is going against it, but I still stand by. I think they've done a reasonably good job at how the car actually manages to handle the weight. It's not an issue. And then yeah, put the boot down, and there's a little bit of a hesitancy there, but you do get quickly enough shoved into the back of your seat, and all is okay with the world again. I think what really is impressive is how sharp the steering is, how light it is, how much feedback there is. There's definitely a bit more going on in this in terms of driving reward than, let's say, just a standard Golf, a 150 brake horsepower Golf. Chucking it into a roundabout now, and you really feel how it handles the movement of the weight. It's just still nicely hunkered down, and it does remind me of the Formentor to drive, although that's probably even better looking again. On really smooth surfaces, it's very, very capable. It's just over that odd Irish pothole that you'll wince as you feel that absorption through the whole car of whatever crater you've just driven. I just wonder, are the roads as bad? Do any other countries have those kind of craters that we get here? So all in all, a nice sporty drive. Of course, it would be lovely to have 300 horses under the bonnet. You're going to have to make do with, well, just over 200 if you keep the car nicely topped up. And if you do all those things right, you're going to get a really cheap car to run, a sporty car, and a car that looks really, really good. I'm not overdoing it when I say the amount of people that have stopped me in traffic this week. People in S-classes have pulled up beside me to ask me what type of car it is. So it is one of those cars that catches the eye, particularly in this colour. And I think you'll have a bit more fun behind the wheel of one of these. Cupra, definitely something a bit more exciting and a bit more interesting and a lot less common. Although it's like one of these things, the more you're in one of these cars, the more you see them. I've seen a few Formentors this week. I've actually had waves from Formentors and other Cupra drivers. Is that a thing? I didn't know whether to wave back or if they were just, I'm not sure what it was. Anyway, it's an interesting alternative. I mean, essentially it's a Leon, it's a Golf, it's all these things in a fancier dress. So it's going to be up to you. Do you want to stump up to somewhere at mid-40s to have what's essentially a Golf? It doesn't look like a Golf, and I've said it in other Cupra videos, they've actually managed to make it different enough to justify the fact that it is a slightly different car. So if you want to be a bit unique, if you want to have something that isn't as common in the car park in Lidl, you might want to check out the Cupra. Thanks for watching.